Okay, now we have here the sperm motility. So the sperm motility evaluation is being done here in a well-mixed liquefied specimen. Approximately, the procedure for that is a wet mud preparation. We have 10 microliter of your specimen. You try to put that one in your hanging slide or concave slide, hanging drop. Okay, they put that one here, part of your well-mixed liquefied specimen in 22 by 22 cover slip slide, and try to have the hanging drop preparation for observation of your motility. The normal motility should show here a progressive forward movement. So dapat not just any other movement, so it should be forward because that is necessary in order for the sperm cell to swim in the cervix of the female during the coitus, in allowing to try to propel itself to the fallopian tube, going to the ovary, and eventually penetrating the ovum. Okay, the normal motility here should be 50%, should be motil here within 1 hour of collection process. How are you going to observe for the motility? So you should observe that one in 20. Okay, try to observe here the motility. Okay, in the 20 HPF field. So if you have your slide, okay, each of the field, you're going to have here the percentage of the sperm. And after 20 field here, try to divide that one. That becomes your percentage of your sperm motility. Okay, the normal value should be at least 50% motil here, should be within 1 hour of the collection process, with a rating of A, B, C, or a rating of 2 based on this classification. Or could also have your 25% motility with a rating of A and B. Okay, within 1 hour of collection process. So for our rating, so we have your 0 is no motility. 1 would have your, there's a motility, but that one is not progressive, hindi siya pa-forward. And the rating of 2 would have here, there's slow forward motility with some noticeable lateral pa side. 3 would have slower speed na forward and some lateral movement. And 4, that would have your forward progressive, or it would have your faster motility. This is also equivalent to the rating of your, okay, 0 is equivalent to your D, 1 is equivalent to your rating of C, 2 is equivalent for your B, okay, and we have also 3 for the letter B, and then rating of 4 is equivalent to your letter E. Okay, then we have here the newer advancement in terms of the sperm evaluation. So you could have here the CASTAR computer assisted sperm analysis. This kind of instrumentation would allow you to observe for the sperm motility trajectory, or even the velocity of that. Plus, we have also here, it also enables you to have your morphology evaluation. On the next one, we have here the sperm morphology. So basic sperm cells made up of the head. We have also here the neck part here. And we have also here the entire tail, which made up of this one part, the meat piece. And we have also here the tail part. So the normal morphology with the head would affect stability of the sperm cell to penetrate the ovum, whereas the normal morphology in the tail would affect the ability of the sperm to swim. So the problem with that, like in the head, will affect the ability of the sperm to penetrate the ovum. And the problem with the tail would also affect the sperm cell here to swim. Okay, for the head, so that measures approximately 5 by 3 micrometer. And for the tail, the flagellated tail here is approximately 45 micrometer. Okay, the head made up of this one acrosomal cap, which try to contain the necessary enzyme that will help in the penetration of your sperm with the ovum. And the acrosomal cap here try to constitute approximately 2/3 of the entire size of your nucleus. Then we have also here the meat piece. So this is the entire tail. The meat piece here, the thickest portion of your tail, is made up of the mitochondria, and this provides energy for the tail, for the entire sperm, in order for that to swim. Okay, and we have also here the portion, we have here the neck piece. So the neck piece here, try to attach the head to the tail part. Okay, for the evaluation of your sperm morphology, so you need to have your dried smear. And try to stain your smear with your pups, your GEMSA, or even your Papa Nicolau, your right, or even your GEMSA. And try to evaluate approximately 200 sperm cells and try to present it one as percentage of the sperms having abnormal results or normal morphology. So meaning to say, you need to count here, you need to identify 200 sperm cells and then how many of that are normal. Okay, for the basis here, so abnormal sperms morphology here with their head could have your double head, could also be pinhead, could also your morphous head, or even your tapered head. For the tail, abnormal could be in the form of double-tailed, bent, or even coiled na tail. Okay, no, we have here the normal values for the routine criteria. For the routine criteria, it's based on this one. So abnormal, abnormal, normal, abnormal lang siya na head or tail or even your mid-piece area based on this criteria. For the routine criteria, should have here at least 30% of your cells here out of your 200 sperm evaluated should have a normal morphology. You could also have here the strict criteria. You call it one as your Kruger's strict criteria. And the strict criteria, aside from identification of the head, the tail, or even the meat piece or the neck piece, you need also to measure the size of that. The size of the head, the size of the tail, or even the size of the meat piece, or even for the presence of the vacuoles. Okay, so for this one, for the strict criteria, Kruger's strict criteria, approximately normal velocity should be at least 14% of your sperm would have a normal morphology. Okay, but then in the evaluation records, since you are having the measurement, then you need to have your stage morphometry or micrometer for that. Okay, the next one, we have here the computation of your round cells. The round cells, you call this one your spermatids, most likely is made up of your immature sperm cells or even your WBC. Okay, the normal values for that should be at least less than 1 million per ml. Okay, however, sometimes you could encounter here much of that in the case of the following because of you could have your genetic disorders because of the viral infections or even exposure to your toxic chemicals. For the evaluation of your round cells, I try to observe here 100 sperm cells and then try to identify how many of that, out of 100 sperm cells, how many have you encountered considered to be a round cells. So pag sinabing round cells, again, those are your immature na sperm cell, even your neutrophil. Multiply with the sperm concentration, then over 100, because again, this is the number of the cells that you need to be evaluated. And then how you count how many of that are immature or how many of that are considered to be round cells. Okay, the next one, we have here the sperm viability. Sperm viability, we try to measure here the number of the sperms which are actually alive, but they are not just moving, because there are some sperm cells here wherein they are alive, but they are not moving, but still we consider them as still viable. Okay, for this one, so we'll be evaluating here the dried smear. Okay, then try to stain your smear here with your eosin nigrosin stain, and try to evaluate here 100 sperm cells. Okay, for our live cells here, we consider that one as alive if it would have a bluish-white na staining reaction against a purple background. For the dead one, it will have your red staining or red color against a purple background. For the evaluation, so sperm viability equals to your number of the live or the bluish-white over 100 since you are evaluating for 100 sperm cells. And how many of that are alive with having the bluish na color? Multiply by 100, that gives you here the sperm percentage for sperm viability. Okay, the normal values for the sperm viability would be 75%. Okay, the next one, we have here your seminal fructose, seminal fluid fructose. So this would measure here the production of your seminal vesicle because again, your seminal vesicle fluid is made up of high concentration of fructose. Okay, the qualitative test would have the resorcinol method for evaluation, and that would have your orange color as positive results. For the quantitative, you could have your spectrophotometry. And the normal values here should be at least 13 micromole per ejaculate. And the patient should be in a fasting state. And then you need to process the specimen within 1 hour. If not, you could frozen the specimen to prevent the proctolysis. Okay, the next one, we have here the presence of your anti-sperm antibody. So anti-sperm antibody could be male anti-sperm antibody, or you could also have here the female anti-sperm antibody. In the case of your male anti-sperm antibody, so that would have detected here having an abnormal seminal fluid analysis result. But in the case of the female anti-sperm antibody, you have the male partner of that with abnormal seminal fluid analysis. Means the problem is not on the male but rather on the female. You are producing anti-sperm antibody because normally the sperm cell is not found in our peripheral circulation, it's just being found in your epididymis. But because sometimes of some activity here or even surgical procedures where the sperm cells could able to go to your peripheral circulation, it try to damage because of the damage in your blood testis barrier, wherein your sperm cell able to leak out within your testes or epididymis that eventually go to your peripheral circulation. Once the sperm cells is in the peripheral circulation, because normally walang sperm cells sa peripheral circulation natin, once the sperm cells present in peripheral circulation, your body will recognize that sperm cell as your foreign antigen. And in effect, your body will be producing antibody, and that become your anti-sperm antibody. And that would able to kill here the sperm. Okay, then we have here the condition that would eventually result here to your damage or leakage of your sperm to your peripheral circulation because of damaging your blood testis barrier system. So it could be a trauma related to your infection or some surgical operation like vasectomy, or even we have here your post-vasectomy reversal. Okay, we have here the test that would help us then to identify the presence of your anti-sperm antibody. The first one, we have your MAR or mixed agglutination reaction. So this is your semen. You are detecting for an IgG antibody lang. Again, a mixed agglutination reaction, what you can detect would be anti-sperm antibody in the form of IgG antibody. Then your agent is a latex particle with a coated anti-IgG on that. So if you have your present sample of the patient's IgG antibody, anti-sperm antibody, then you have your agent IgG here. That will be cross-link here with your anti-human globulin. So if you have anti-human globulin, you have your IgG antibody here in the serum of the patient. Then since you have your agent, is a latex particle with an IgG antibody that will be cross-linked by anti-human globulin and therefore able to form here, magka-clump ito because of that. And that would be observed under the microscope, the clumping of that. Okay, so normal, you should have here at least 10% lang of your sperm cells able to attach to this one, meaning to say you have your anti-sperm antibody. But if in case, for example, if your lots of your sperm cells try to attach on this one, so more than 10%, then that become abnormal. And that might be responsible for the infertility of the composite. Another one, we have your immunobead test. So this would have several advantages over your mixed agglutination reaction. Number one, because this one, try to detect here different types of anti-sperm antibody. It might be IgM, it might be an IgG, or even your IgA anti-sperm antibody. Okay, at the same time, you could also detect where is your anti-sperm antibody would able to have an activity. So like for example, if your agent is your polyacrylamide beads, which is your IgA, then that binds with your sperm cells on the head part, mean to say the patient has anti-IgA head anti-sperm antibody. So again, if the activity here of your anti-sperm is directed toward the head part of the sperm, it would try to affect the ability of your sperm cell to penetrate the ovum, and therefore it results in infertility. But if, for example, your sperm cell here would try to, anti-sperm antibody detected here, try to bind with the tail, and that anti-sperm tail antibody, if it would eventually affect also the tail ability of your sperm cell to swim, and therefore also result here to the infertility. Okay, then we have in the normal values, you should find only here less than 10% of the sperms able to bind with your immunobead. Okay, another one, we have here the microbial testing for the causative agent of your prostate infections. Prostate infection will be related to infection with your chlamydia trachomatis, mycoplasma hominis, or even your urea plasma, urea liticum. So chemical tests, you could have alpha-neutral glucosidase. That's for defects primarily in the epididymis. You could also have here your zinc, your acid phosphatase citric acid concentration related to your prostate gland. And for identification here of your seminal fluid in the case of your rape case for the forensic studies, they could be enhanced by addition of your xylene and try to examine that one under your phase contrast microscope. You could also have your glycoprotein P30, which is very specific marker for your sperm cell. Another one could also perform the ABO typing or blood typing. Could also perform here the DNA analysis to primarily establish here the possible rape in the case of your victim. Another one, we have here the post-vasectomy analysis for you to check here if the vasectomy is eventually effective or not. So vasectomy is effective if the specimen or the patients will try to produce seminal fluid without the sperm cells. So pag without sperm cells here, it could not eventually result in fertilization. So post-vasectomy specimen analysis is being done 2 months after the post-vasectomy and try to continue that one every month until the patient try to show here 2 consecutive test results negative for the sperm cells. Pag negative na siya, and eventually that's considered already here as effective. Okay, for that, the specimen or the patient should submit a seminal fluid and then you need to process that one by concentrating the fluid here for the possible sperm cells. Try to examine that one wet mount and try to have concentrated one by centrifugation and make sure and eventually for you to consider it was effective for your vasectomy, then you should not find any sperm cells on your specimen. Okay, lastly, we have here the sperm function test. So first, we have your hamster egg penetration test. So this is an in vitro test, okay, that would allow you to observe here the ability of the sperm to penetrate the ovum, but we're using here the hamster egg for that. So just incubate the hamster egg plus the sperm cells or the seminal fluid and try to observe microscopically for its ability to penetrate the ovum. Cervical mucosa penetration, same principle with this one, only that you are using cervical mucus coming from the patients or the female patients which is being collected during the mid-cycle of that, plus the sperm cells. And again, still also measurability of your sperm to penetrate the ovum. And problem with that could also result here to inability to penetrate and therefore it become infertile. The third one, we have the hypoosmolar swelling. This is just incubating your sperm cells in a low concentration of your salt and sodium chloride. It would measure stability, the membrane, stability, integrity, and viability of your sperm cells. And lastly, we have here your in vitro acrosome reaction. So this would measure stability of the acrosomal cap to produce necessary or essential enzymes which are needed for the penetration. So, pag hindi siya makapag-produce ng enzymes, so again, it would affect its ability to penetrate the ovum. Okay, so thank you. That's all for this topic.